People, deluded, I'm back again. The Premier League is back and it firmly starts for Arsenal with Arsenal versus Leeds, or better yet, Leeds versus to Arsenal, as due to the fact on Sunday we travelled to Ellen Road. Now the Premier League is back. No matter how much Arsenal and whatever team you support stress you, annoy you, you know, you're angry with them, dare I say you're happy to have a break from them, but I'm sure a lot of you football fans have, whatever team you support, you spent a good portion of the international break still discussing your team. Like I've been, you know, all I've been speaking about is Arteta and Arsenal and the Villa game and things like that. You know, depending on the result come Sunday, maybe I wish that the international break was going on a bit longer, but I'm happy to see my team play and get back into form. Now it's Arsenal versus Leeds, Leeds versus Arsenal. You know, for Arsenal, first and foremost, we can't feel sorry for ourselves. We have to look at if there is any positives from previous games so far in the league, apply those positives, think about the negatives, you know, learn from them, but we can't dwell on it. It is what it is, you know. We can't feel sorry for ourselves, we can't feel hard done by. We need to move forward. The Premier League games are coming thick and fast. You're seeing the fixture list. Our whole squad is going to have to be used, and you look at our next three games, we're going against three very good tacticians as well as managers. First up is Bielsa, obviously. Then you've got Nuno of Wolves. And then you've got Arsenal's arch nemesis and a hallmark in the Premier League in Spurs' manager Jose Mourinho. Now, one thing I look at for Arteta to learn from, I look at more so the Leicester game at home and also the Villa game. I think he was tactically outdone by those managers in terms of game management. Against Villa, we never got a foot back into the game and we didn't react or counteract their fast start. Against Leicester, you know, Leicester, Brendan Rodgers remained penned in. We didn't adapt, and you could see in the second half they changed their game plan and what was to come. So when I look at that, when you're going against someone like Bielsa that had Pep Guardiola begging for a point and had him making defensive changes, you know, we've got to be on point there. You know, only God knows how long Arteta is going to have training with the team. I know the bulk of them probably back in training now or returning. You know, some of them when they do return, like Saka, can't imagine Saka is going to train today. He'll probably report back to Arsenal, have a recovery session because he played for England last night, and then he'll go again, sort of thing, people. So I'm not too sure how much changes will happen. We know the international break hasn't been kind to a lot of teams. Going into it, we had issues over Thomas Partey and will he be fit? We hear rumours he will, but again, you know, it's always going to be touch and go until Arteta speaks on it or until we see him. You know, sadly, El Nene and Kolasinac will play no part because they've tested positive for COVID. Willan, provided he tests negative, I guess he can train and be in contention, but he faces the prospect of not being here. And there's a bunch of obvious absentees as well. I mean, even Arteta, look at Aubameyang. You know, Aubameyang sleeping on the floor with the Gabon national team. It's quite a disgrace how the authorities have treated them and whatnot in those regards. So I'm not too sure if we're going to see changes in relation to the formation. Personally, I would go 5 at the back, but I want to see us play football. You know, when I think of Leeds, I think of a prestigious club. They deserve to be in the Premier League. They're a team that should be in the Premier League. Growing up in my 25 years, they were a Premier League side. You know, there was a lot of absence and they're back. So I have admiration historically for Leeds. You know, they're a well-supported club, and those of you older than me are old enough to remember when they were going toe-to-toe with Man United and things like that. So they're a club that belong in the top division. This season I've been impressed with them. You know, you look at the Leicester game, man said Leicester, they lost 4-1 in that. I meant to say Liverpool on the first day. You look at Manchester City, there's been some entertaining fixtures from Leeds and their players. You know, Calvin Phillips, for me, if you know, he deserves to play Champions League football in my opinion. I really rate Calvin Phillips highly. You know, they've got Bamford, who probably will not be get called up for England if he is eligible. Started off the season fairly strongly. They've got Glitch, you know, they've got Alioski, they've got Jack Harrison, who can be a threat from set pieces and dead ball situations and delivering. You know, they never give up. You know, when I look at this, you know, both teams can barely defend. You know, I believe Leeds have conceded 17 goals. Their last 2 games, they've conceded 8, losing back-to-back 4-1 defeats against Palace and also Leicester City. As an Arsenal fan, you know to disregard form and whatnot if they're in bad form, because it's irrelevant when you play Arsenal. You're going to turn into Barcelona. But that tells me both teams are open. Arsenal have improved defensively since Arteta's taken over, but it's hardly reflected in clean sheets and all of those things. So it probably won't be this, because all of us expect it to be an open contest and things. But I expect an open contest. I expect both teams to be open on the counter-attack, to be open in transition. In fact, the midfield for transition for both teams is where this game's going to be won and lost. I'd also be keen to see how both teams react to not only going to go up but potentially going to go down, because you know both teams haven't been in necessarily the best of form based on the last 2 games. I know we beat Man United prior to Villa, but you know we've had back-to-back defeats. Man United sandwiched in there, they've had back-to-back defeats, so who knows. You know, we're probably lucky Leeds fans can't be in there in the 12th man. We all know what happened when we went to Sheffield United in last time we went to Yorkshire away from home, how much of a boost that 12 man was last season, and I think Leeds fans would be up for it. You know, Leeds were up for it against Man City and against Liverpool. So imagine if their fans were there. And if I'm them, you know, if I'm Leeds, I'm sitting there and saying, yo, listen, we had the 2 Premier League reigning champions in previous years. We gave them a good run for their money. We let ourselves down defensively against Liverpool. We made them work for those 3 points. You know, we made Liverpool work for these 3 points. Who the hell are Arsenal? Go out there and smash them up. We're in back-to-back defeats. Go out there and start your season again. Go out there and get 3 points. Go out there and get back to playing convincing. You know, you've got people like Luke Ayling who formerly played for Arsenal. You know, them man there, if they do start, they're going to, you know, that defender will be playing with an extra spring in his step, because these are the games you wanted to get promoted for. These are the games and teams you want to play against. You know, these are the, you know, both teams have a target on their back, but Arsenal's got more of a target. Dare I say Arsenal's got more to lose, because whether Leeds win or lose, Bielsa and Leeds aren't necessarily questioned, well, at least by the wider fan base. Arteta is, you know, more question marks over can he move this again. You know, probably if we lose, highlight his, you know, the lack of creativity and the rest of it. So Leeds should play on that and be fearless. For Arsenal, as I've been saying, we have to forgive ourselves for what's happened. Don't feel sorry for yourself. Your season starts again now. You need to, it's all about mentality, you know. This, as much as tactics and Bielsa versus Arteta, this game is about mentality. You've got to show that you're willing to put things right. You need to show you can go on a run. You know, I'm not to say Leeds is the easiest game, but you've got Wolves and Spurs after. You know, if you can't get 3 points off Leeds, you know, in football fashion, you could lose to Leeds and beat Wolves, but if you can't beat Leeds, you know, considering how open they are and the fact they've conceded 17 goals, and as entertaining as they are very open, you know, how can you play Wolves with their exciting players? How can you play Jose where he's got Spurs in decent form? And, you know, you need to show that you can go on a run of games. You need to show you can win away from home. You need to show you can display consistency. Also, we're one of the last teams again to play. So can you see the results of other people and know exactly what you want to do? Because as woeful as Arsenal have been, I'm not saying we're going to win the league, but we're, what, 6 points off the top? My point being, you need to still stay within that pack come the end of the year, start of next year, if you want top 4. Sort of thing, people. Like I said, you can't help but admire Leeds for the way they play, you know, and whatnot. And for me, regardless of their last form, you know, you look at their last 3 big games, you know, they got battered against Leicester, you know, they lost, ultimately they lost to Liverpool and got no points. But I look at that's 3 big games against teams that are qualifying, you know, or finishing top 6 the last couple of seasons. They've taken points off City, which was a great draw. You know, they let themselves down against Liverpool, but they played well, take nothing from it. And they got battered against Leicester. So 2 of those 3 games against top sides they've turned up for. So again, you know, and these 3 teams are performing better than Arsenal. They should be relishing playing Arsenal. They should be relishing putting Arsenal, you know, in negative press. You know, Arsenal have a target on their back, and Leeds should firmly prey upon that, to be fair. When you look at it, like I said, both teams aren't necessarily productive in front of goal. Both teams aren't necessarily mad defensively. There's a lot of errors, and it does have the makings to be an open game and a great game for the neutrals. But in true football fashion, it would probably be a bore draw, you know. You know, they're 5th in the league for most shots, people. They've made 105, and versus us, we've had 73. They will shoot, they can create chances. They don't necessarily take their chances despite Bamford, because Bamford individually is up there for most chances missed or big chance missed. As a team, you know, they've missed 11 big chances, and they're 7th. I mean, they've missed 11 big chances, so they can create. And you know, if you give them a lot of opportunities, they will score. So again, look decent, look convincingly in terms of a defensive display. They're 7th for passing, people. You know, we're third. We're third, people. So they're 7th for passing, we're 3rd. But when you look at it, only Everton, our Spurs, Manchester City and Liverpool are ahead of them. So that again confirms how good Bielsa's getting them playing and whatnot. You know, both are on 11 yellow cards for this season. They're 8th for, they can score better than us. You know, they're 8th for goals with 14. We are 15th with 9. You know, they're scoring and taking more shots than us, you know. So again, that's what you need to do. You need to shoot. We need to think about the threat they face and the attacking players they have, you know. Alioski, Glitch can chip in. For me, Jack Harrison and them early crosses. Bamford's the man in form. Obviously, they've got Costa, they've got Rodrigo, they've got players, you know. But, you know, the whole team, we need to keep them on lock. And as good as they are, we need to take shots. I don't want to see, you know, come half time, you've taken 3 shots against a team that has conceded 17 goals. It's not rocket science. You don't shoot, you don't score. This is a game where you need to be on point defensively, but you need to shoot, you know. Whether you're Lacazette, Aubameyang, Willan, if he's able to play, Pepe, you lot should try and get some goals. Try and start your individual season, you know. Aubameyang, I know he scored twice this season, but try and get off the mark and things like that properly. You know, both teams, you know, have shown improvements defensively, but you know the stats don't lie. Both teams are quite frail defensively. There will be opportunities to shoot. Clearly, both teams struggle concentrating in the defensive arts of the game. You know, both sides love being caught offside as well. We're first for offsides in the league with 16, and they're third with 15. Tying with someone obviously. They're first for tackles in the Premier League with 168 versus us. We're 18th with 94. Only Manchester United and Man City are worse. But saying that, I remember Urbino posting that we're high for tackles. So that's what the Premier League said on their website, and I've taken that and written it down. So somebody's telling fibs. But again, you know, you have to expect a meaty contest. You know, statistics are telling us what we expect. We expect a feisty encounter. We expect a team up for it. We expect a team that isn't going to just roll over and give us 3 points. They're going to present us with issues. It is potentially going to be nail biting. Midfield is crucial for me, people, and also our right hand side. They're left with Jack Harrison, and the fact of when Jack Harrison gets out his feet, Bamford has already started the move 9 times out of 10. So off the ball is what's going to make the difference in this game a hell of a lot, people. As I said with Leeds, if I had to sum them up, they play good football, they're fearless, tactically they're very solid. You see in all defensively and attacking what Bielsa wants, but they are quite open. They are susceptible to lapses in concentration. They do concede a lot of goals, and they do present chances to you. So as good as they are, it's down to what we do. And it seems like whether it's a big game, small game, whatever, granted Arsenal's form, every team is a big game, but we can't keep going into games just thinking about what the opposition do. Like I said, consider the threats of Leeds, but I'm actually looking at this game as to what we can do. I want to see 2-touch passes. I want to see passing with intent. I want to see getting at their keeper. I rate their keeper Millier. You lot know me. I've spoken about him when he was at Lorient. You know, he had a bit of a disastrous under-20 World Cup at France level, and I still think some of those mistakes are still in his game as shown in the Premier League. But he's quite up there for shot stopping, and he's a young keeper. He does quite well. They've got players that play well, people. Like I said, he can make some mistakes, but he's a good developing shot stopper. Him and Leno, apologies, both have 2 clean sheets. You know, if Calvin Phillips is fit, you know he's a player to be wary of, as is Jack Harrison. You've obviously got Bamford, you've got Glick. On the topic of Bamford, people, 7 goals. He's tied with Kane, and he's one behind the likes of Son, Vardy, Mohamed Salah and Calvert-Lewin. Klitsch has 3 goals, and what I like is their midfield. They have some of their midfielders at times will make that midfield run beyond the first man or beyond the defence, which would be issues. As I said, to re-summarise, people, both teams, you know, when I think of Leeds, I think they're going to be aggressive. I think they're going to be a good pressing team, and we need to match that. We need to be aggressive. We need to have intention with what we're doing with the football. We need to have invention, you know. I want to see some of our, one thing you can say, our attacking players are very good technically. Go and display that. Have shots, press from the front, be aggressive, defend well. Football's a simple game. Like I keep saying, transition. That midfield transition on the counter, Leeds can exploit you. So be wary and get men behind. But they are susceptible. And again, I don't want to harp on about this, but when you look at the Crystal Palace goal last season, you know, goals we've scored against Chelsea, against City, and against Liverpool specifically in cup games, they're made up for this. You know, exploit. If Leeds give you time on the counter and space, I want to see these sort of moves put together. I don't want to see Aubameyang. I don't want to see Aubameyang on the left, but it's all about how he plays on the left. Last season he was more an inside forward. This season he's playing like an out and out winger. I want him to play as an inside forward personally, people. In short, you know, shoot as both teams cannot defend. You know, if they sit back, get onto them and kill the game, which I don't think they will. Play with aggression, and most importantly, rise to the occasion. Leeds players and Bielsa, I can probably guarantee without knowing them or knowing anything, they'll be up for this. And, you know, and historically as Arsenal fans, we say which Arsenal is going to turn up. We can't afford that. You know, you're on a losing run. The games aren't getting any better. You know, I've already said the 3 games you've got. So go out there and do that and do stuff. I'm not going to say fans will shut up if you beat Leeds, but it will go a long way to keeping fans quiet. The pressure will mount not just on Arteta, but the players if we fail to get a result, because it will be like the international break never happened. It's what these players make of it. We need to see a better, we need to see a lot better tactically from Arteta. For me, you know, free up the shackles to a degree of your attacking players and allow them to cause mayhem. You know, start some more positive players, but also the players that are playing, you've got to rise to the occasion. You've got to want to make the difference. You've got to want to stand up to be counted. It's never just the manager. It's never just the players, people. And both teams need to, you know, do what they need to do. And I'm not too sure if I've mentioned it, but Glitch has 3 assists. You know, Glitch, 3 assists. And he makes a lot of runs from midfield. So he's a player that you need to be careful of. Forgive me if I'm wrong. He scored a decent goal against Liverpool just from making a run and not being picked up. These are all things I hope the boys that haven't travelled have had long enough to analyse. The boys that are travelling from international duty, you're taking on board what we're saying in the tactical room or the technical analysis and things of the opposition or opposition analysis. I hope you're fully taking it in. You know, there's a lot of things to come. When you look at Leeds' run to come, people, and let me write that down because I'm going to edit this. Apologies. You look at their run to come. Like us, it doesn't get much easier. You know, Leeds have Arsenal, obviously, at 4:30 on Sunday. You know, then they've got to play. Then they've got to play Everton away. Then they've got to go to Chelsea away. You know, then they've got to play West Ham. Then they've got to play Newcastle, and then they've got United away, which is probably the biggest fixture of their calendar, and United as well. If you're really just looking at it from a rivalry point of view, I'm sure both sets of fans up them sides there was waiting for this game to come back in. Well, that was one of the first games they're looking at in their fixture calendar, you know. And the thing with Leeds, as much as I praise them and stuff, you know, I do think people praise them unnecessarily in the sense of, you know, take nothing away from Bielsa and the plaudits and stuff. But then I do think people put them on a level they're not and make out they're like, it's just based on the way people speak, you'd think they're challenging for Europe. And again, I'm not trying to belittle Leeds. I've got admiration. My point and only point being, you know, in the same way they should think Arsenal's a soft touch in the fact of they've played better against Liverpool and City and had mixed success. You know, being at a half a percentage of that, you can beat Arsenal. And they should be saying, you know, if we play to the way we've played in a couple of other big games, Arsenal will roll over and die. They won't be able to stand toe to toe with the fight and intensity. So it's down to both teams. I'm sure if you're both sets of managers, you're expecting some sort of mistakes. Looking at this as well, people, their previous fixtures, you know, like I said, they've conceded 17 goals this season. In their last 2 games, they've scored 2, dropped all 6 points, and conceded 8 goals, you know. Arsenal can't afford to be going into half-time, 2 shots, 1 on target and things like that. This is a game you need to shoot. If you don't shoot, you don't score. And I always say you never get the vibe Arsenal truly want to win a game of football. But yeah, people, you look at their last run of games, you've got Liverpool versus Leeds was obviously 4-3, you know, specifically in the league. They lost that game, but they won against Fulham 4-3, the same scoreline. They also beat Sheffield United 1-0, which is, you know, they've kept 2 clean sheets, people. You know, they beat Sheffield 1-0. They drew 1-1 with City. You know, they lost 1-0 to Wolves. They beat Villa 3-0, you know. So their run's been a bit of a mixed one, people, really and truly. If you look at it, 1 win in their last 5 games, people, off the top of my head. Yeah. Literally 1 win in their last 5 games. So their form isn't the best. And, you know, you could tally up the goals they've conceded. They've conceded 8 in their last 2, you know. When you add into that, you know, Wolves, that makes it 9. And then when you add into that City, that's 10 goals in their last 5 games. That's 1 win and that's, you know, 1 clean sheet. You know, so they're there for the taking of sorts. What I mean by that is both teams should be positive about beating the other. Arsenal's form is woeful. We can't buy a win. Every game is literally a cup final. It doesn't matter if it's Leeds or, you know, Spurs to come in 2 weeks or so. You have a tough time as an Arsenal fan seeing where you're going to get points. For Arteta and the boys, you talk about top 4, the going gets tough. You're going to need to show it. You're going to need to show it because the games aren't getting any easier. There's 9 points on the line right now. Dare I say against Spurs, that's a 6-pointer because of, you know, the need to take points off rivals that you're trying to fight for top 6 with. So you're going to need to stand up to be counted. You know, the run isn't getting any easier as I've just stated, people. Quick little stats as well for those of you who care about these things, just to look at them. Most appearances this season, there's a tie with multiple players for 8th place. You've got Luke Ayling, Patrick Bamford, Stuart Dallas, who puts in a lot of work in the midfield, Glitch, Kosh, Millie, and obviously Helder Costa. Most minutes played, you've got Millie, Koch and Ayling with 720. Top goal scorer obviously is Patrick Bamford with 7. Most assists is Glitch with 3. Most tackles is Luke Ayling / Stuart Dallas. And again, Stuart Dallas, you can imagine him to be in the engine room on Sunday for Leeds. You know, most clearances, you've got Robin Koch. Most touches, Luke Ayling. Again, he's going to be at it for us. Most shots, 29, Patrick Bamford. At Arsenal, is Aubameyang up there for the most shots? I'm pretty sure it's Bukayo Saka and actually Pepe, who's been marginalised, which firmly highlights the issue and the imbalance. You know, we are improving defensively, but it's not like we're a team of we're not a classic Italian team of the 80s. You know, we're still conceding a lot of goals. We're not offering nothing in an attacking outlet for the manager and the players and the rest of the coaching staff. What we're doing as Arsenal fans, it isn't sustainable. Even if we win against Leeds, it doesn't mean we're backing things. We need to firmly listen. Like I said, can't disrespect Leeds, but you need to get 3 points and then you need to firmly switch your attention to Wolves. If you do win, forget the Leeds game and focus on Wolves. You need to put a run together. You've got 3 games, would love 9 points. You know, in Arsenal fashion, you'd probably get 3. You need to be targeting about 7 points in minimum, really and truly. 6 is the absolute minimum you should be able to take, really and truly. I'm not even saying 4 points, really. You should be winning these games if you want top 4. I'm not saying these teams are easy, but you get the point. Oldest player, not that anybody necessarily cares, is Pablo Hernandez at 35. Their youngest is Charlie Cresswell, people. You know, right now they've conceded 18 goals, so I was wrong with 17. They've scored 15 and they've kept 2 clean sheets. They've had 5 defeats, 1 draw, 3 wins. At home, 5 wins. Away from home, 4 wins, I believe that says. Or is it? That might just be the game they've played. Apologies, that is the game they've played. Apologies, people. 5 home games, 4 away games. You know, 3 wins, 1 draw, 5 defeats. Apologies for messing that up. They've got 10 points. They sit 15th. You know, they've played 8 Premier League games. Well, and in total 9. So that's probably why they have 18 goals conceded and not 17, people. So again, there is reasons to be concerned about Leeds, but there's plenty of reasons to think you can get a goal or 2 and get 3 points. It all depends which Arsenal turn up. It's that age-old saying, which I personally hate to say, people. If we look at them from a tactical point of view, people, it all depends what you're looking at. Now, we've seen them play 3 at the back. I wanted to talk about the 4-1-4-1. Because first and foremost, if we go with what I expect and is going to be a back 3, I don't necessarily mind that. We're going to be outnumbered in midfield. And we all know they make a lot of tackles as a team, like I said. So we can imagine these 3 are snappy. You know, they're aggressive. You know, they're going to come back and help defend. They're going to limit space and whatnot. But also, you've got to remember, they're not just a team that sit back. They've got a lot about them. So I don't know if that's Calvin Phillips. I hope he's not fit. But he's going to want the ball. You're going to have Dallas. You're going to have, you could potentially have what? Klitsch here, Dallas, you know, Calvin Phillips or Calvin Phillips there. You know, Leeds fans know their stuff more than me. All I know is tactically what to expect. So that's a well-engined unit. You obviously got Bamford as the target man, and he's almost a throwback striker in that he's happy putting his back to goal. He's got fantastic movement. Obviously, they've got a lot of wide options. They've even got young Pandava. But for me, Jack Harrison, he might not be the best, but he can present issues 1v1. And he does like to get out his feet early and cross it. Now, when I've got someone like Bamford, whose movement is good, you know, be aware of the last shoulder. You know, we failed our last tests against strikers that can hurt you, like Ollie Watkins and Vardy. Learn your lessons. He's a striker that comes alive in the 6-yard box. He's on the shoulders. He wants it delivered in the air. So if he crosses it early, nobody's picking apart. You can see how the story goes. So be aware of that, people. Really, really be aware. You know, our front 3 has to press as well. But they have to be sensible with it. For me, I want to see Lacazette drop in here like he does sometimes. And like he done against Chelsea and get on Jorginho. And I want our wide men to become a bit narrow like Aubameyang. Give this guy a decision. If he wants to go, there's a gap there. And he's going to pull out his centre-half. You know, there's a gap. Obviously, you know, whether it's Tierney, who's played a lot of games, or Saka, that's played a lot of games, I want them down there, you know. So that's if they go with a 4-1-4-1, people. But obviously, as you know, they can go with 3 at the back, people, as well. Which is what I would probably do if I was Bielsa going into this, and just mainly based off the highlight I just showed you guys, people. You know, they do have different sorts of targets. I've seen them play 3 at the back historically with fullbacks, actually without fullbacks, or a thing where Luke Ayling would just pull into that role, people. You know, you have seen a bunch of different sort of things from them, people. You've even seen stuff along the lines of this. Don't want it to mess up my midfield. You know? And I think that would be that would be a good system for them. It all depends what they go with, people. You've seen them go with something along the lines of this, so it's almost like a 3-3-3 sort of thing, people. Depending on how you look at it, or 3-1, 3-1, 3-1. You get 3-3-3-1 sort of thing. You know, you've got Bamford. He's happy playing alone by himself. You know, you've got Helder. You'd imagine these are wide men. You know, you've got Helder Costa and whoever playing quite narrow. But again, 1v1, they can present problems and they can be quite narrow. And obviously, defensively, these help on the transition because they'll close Arsenal's fullbacks down very quickly. You know, Arsenal's a bit of an open book in that we help teams. You know, for me, why we need to be faster on the counters for several reasons, people. They're a team that can be exploited on the transition, but I honestly feel Arsenal, because how slow we are to counter, because we're slow moving the ball, because we take extra touches, because we were quite flat and you know, things we can do in 2 touches, we do it in 10, and slow on back and passing it between the back line. We're gonna, rather than, you know, if they all push up right now, people, and we exploit them, hit them on a quick counter like we've seen in cup games, we're going to be slow and playing it between the back and going home. You're just going to allow them to just say, all right, cool, we can get back in position. And when you do that, I genuinely feel Arsenal are defeated. We're defeating ourselves as much as the opposition is defeating us, people, because you're allowing them to get back in position. If you can get back in position, you can get back in shape. Naturally, that's harder to break down. So exploit them and do it very quickly. But as I said, if they go with 3 at the back, you know, the only problem you could see is if this is Luke Ayling, who can play as a right back and in real time probably would be a bit more wider, there's a gap for Aubameyang to exploit. And then these midfielders have a decision, you know, to help up. Do they double up, which they probably will do because Leeds players are from the Championship. They're very street smart. You know, you've got Bamford, who doesn't mind being a single man by himself. You've got Elder Costa, and again, Jack Harrison and the threat he could have. You'd have Glitch or someone who's got the most assists free, and he would obviously drop deep and make it a flat midfield. Again, almost a flat midfield 4 as such, people. You'd probably see something along the lines of that. It wouldn't surprise me if even if you see someone else sit in defence, in the defensive transition, you'd probably see that. Maybe Bamford be the highest up there. You know, if we are on top of them, you'd probably see something along the lines of that. A high line, and again, they probably are looking to exploit that high line, and they probably want us to play into their traps and then put them in foot races with people like Bamford. But if this happens, this is where I'm saying movement is crucial, people. People have to demand it. Lacazette might not get the ball, but he's created space, and now there's a decision to make. Does he go or does he go? Either way, there's a gap for Pepe, who I hope plays, or whoever, and midfielders need to be brave, you know. If we're all on top of them and we're slow, do the centre-halves need to pass it to each other? Or can you skip it out and go straight to Tierney? Or can you go straight to Partey and Partey tries to find someone? Only Arsenal and Arteta will be able to find out come match day, people. But that is an area I'm looking at of concern, because that's where I want to see significant improvement. They've obviously played many different variations of the 4-3-3, people, of 3 at the back and obviously of 3 at the back, sorry, and obviously of the 4-1-4-1 formation. But who knows what to expect, people? I expect a confident side. Both teams should have confidence. More so Leeds, because Arsenal, you know, it's been a bit of a negative sentiment. But both teams should believe they should get 3 points. Both teams should believe they could score goals. Both teams should believe that they can present issues, you know. Both teams need to buy a win because we've both got tough forms or run of games, better yet, to go into. In relation to the starting lineup, obviously, you know, El Nene is ruled out due to COVID, and this could have been a game for him, really and truly. Kolasinac, I might not be fond of him, but you need that option available. Obviously, for Kieran Tierney and Saka, they've played a lot of football for England and Scotland, respectively. I know a lot of you, because you've been in my comments, you're thinking about their fitness levels and stuff, and it's a legit question. For me, Kieran Tierney and Saka would start regardless, though, and so I'm gonna go with my formation. Might as well do it a different way, people. Remove all the blue ones. Let me try it a bit differently. So obviously, if that's our goalkeeper, people, I'm going with Leno. He picks himself. I'm going with Gabriel, he picks himself. If David Luiz is fit, not that David Luiz is my cup of tea, but he's not the worst defender this season for Arsenal. And we need ball players for me, and I think he's one of them. It was kind of highlighted against Aston Villa, you know. It's quite disgraceful that he's probably our most attacking sort of player, or the player that tries to break the lines. So I've gone with Gabriel, David Luiz, I don't want Tierney at centre-half, and there isn't much centre-half to choose from. And I know Holding didn't have the best of games, but generally he's been okay this season. Like I said, didn't have the best of games last game, and he might not be levels or cup of tea, but he ain't been bad. So, like I said, man, you're going to probably have Gabriel out there, to be fair. David Luiz, Rob Holding. For me, I'm going with Maitland-Niles in that position. I think it will probably be Bellerin, but I'm going with Maitland-Niles. I think he deserves an opportunity. Kieran Tierney returns back to his normal position of left wing back, and again, you know, teams have like I said, teams have sussed us out. People, they know our build up play is slow. We know we're slow on the transition. We take too many touches. We allow the opposition to get back in position. Teams have sussed out that we're left hand centric as well, so we need to present a problem from the right hand side. And for me, I would like to see Maitland-Niles play. We'll get on to why, obviously, because he's probably got the best partnership with Pepe. And like I said, I want Tierney to, you know, Tierney has to defend, obviously, people. He's a defender by trade. He is no getting away from it, and in a game like this. But he gives us something going forward. He links up well with Saka, obviously Aubameyang as well. So they're the 5 names. Well, I say 5. I can't count 6 names so far. Midfield, Partey, if fit and over this thigh strain he suffered before the international break, walks into the team, and similar to Leno, well, maybe Leno by default, but Gabriel, Tierney, due to ability, they pick themselves as well as Bukayo Saka. So I've gone with them. Obviously, midfield is a bit debatable because I could understand if he put Xhaka back in, because I think I put Xhaka in my starting lineup against Villa based on the fact of what he tries to do in midfield, whether I think it's good or not. So I think Xhaka will come back into the team, and Danny Ceballos' form hasn't been amazing, people, but for me, I'd probably go Danny Ceballos. He's a bit more dynamic than Xhaka. He does seem to like defending, and defensively he's improved under Arteta. Once again, he's not in the best of form, but, you know, they're a bit different. You know, Partey can offer stuff going forward as well as being that protector. Ceballos can do a thing there. So, you know, probably see Xhaka, but I'd go with Ceballos. The front three, it's not going to happen. It's going to be Lacazette, but Aubameyang through the middle. For me, let's capitalise on our pace. Let's get pacey. Let's get pace, quick flowing football. Aubameyang is central to that. Let's get him back scoring. You know, Bukayo Saka's played a lot of football for England, but he picks himself. You know, for me, you've got Gabriel there. You've got potentially Ceballos pulling out there. In fact, Xhaka might get that. But even if, let's just say, Xhaka, who I expect, you've got Xhaka, you've got Gabriel with the passes, you've got Tierney, you've got Saka. We're very left-hand centric, so you can see why that would be beneficial, people. Apologies for kicking the screen. That was an apologies. And obviously, I go with Pepe. I know Willan might be missing out due to a negative test. I still think if Willan is fit, he does play. And I do think, regardless, if Pepe played a blind, they'd be dropped. But that's what I would go through, man. I think all 3 of them are quick. I think they all link up well. I think Maitland-Niles and Pepe, they understand each other. Kieran Tierney back in his usual formation. You know, we ain't got much to pick from in terms of defence. For me, the one problem is who plays there. You know, if it was El Nene, I could see El Nene. Is it Xhaka? Is it Ceballos? Is it even Joe Willock, who I wouldn't go for, but is it even Joe Willock? Aubameyang won't go back through the middle, you know, but I would like to see him, people. So that would be my lineup. And obviously, you are hoping that, you know, I wouldn't even mind if Eddie starts. And again, you know, just on the back face of, he's a bit faster than Eddie. He's a bit faster than Lacazette. He might have question marks, but he's a bit faster than Lacazette. Obviously, when you're playing against a club like, you know, I'm sure he's fond of Bielsa and Leeds. On the face of it, as I've said, it hasn't happened for him. He didn't play to the level where, you know, he's there this season playing for them in the Prem. It didn't. But, you know, training with Bielsa, he looked stronger physically. He's probably improved tactically, you know. But I'm sure he wants to be the one who puts the nail in the final nail in Leeds' coffin in that game. I'm sure, you know, when you're playing against teams you didn't have the best of time or former club, you've got that extra inspiration. And to be fair, not that Eddie Nketiah has been amazing and any better than Lacazette, really, because Lacazette's still got more goals than him, but the form Lacazette's in, could it be worth Eddie? Because, you know, Eddie's scored a couple goals for the 21s now, again at international break. You know, you've had Ian Wright and Michael Owen talking about him in the press too. You know, if they're talking about you as a striker at any level, you're fond of yourself, you know. Lacazette's poor form, obviously you want to see Lacazette get it back into form, but this is a chance for you to capitalise if you are given that opportunity to show you can be an Arsenal striker. So I actually wouldn't mind Eddie starting for Lacazette, you know, if Aubameyang is going to play out wide. It's a bit of a toss-up between the two, you know, both of them just have to give you an hour and Arteta is going to sub one, so we'll have to see. But if it was for me, it's Saka, Pepe and Aubameyang through the middle, people. So we'll have to see what the game has. Hopefully we get 3 points. Score prediction, I'm going to say a nervy 2-1 Arsenal. On that note, though, we've been here for a while. I hope this has been a decent preview of the game for you guys. I hope I've given you some quality content. If not, as usual, I apologise. But for now, people, DG, I'm out. Please make sure you comment, subscribe, and do the rest.